On live, telling you about Derek Lunsford's special invitation to compete in the Open Mr. Olympia. And since then, there's been a lot of reactions already, of course. This is huge news that we've been waiting to hear about since he guest posed back at the Pittsburgh show early May. And there was speculation that he would probably get or might get the special invitation. Well, today we know he got it. The announcement came down from the Mr. Olympia promoters. And some people are very happy about it. Other people are really butthurt. A lot of people upset. So I want to hear from you guys. Why are you so upset that he got the special invitation? Let's look at who got the special invitation in the years past. So there was a standing invitation last year and this year for Flex Lewis, the 7-time 212 Olympia champion. The year before that, 2020, the invitation went to Big Ramy, who had been unable to qualify. He had been all set to do, I think it was the European Pro, and then he tested positive for COVID, wasn't allowed to travel, couldn't get to the show, and that was the last chance to qualify. He got the invitation, they let him in, and guess what? He won the Olympia. So right there, that shows you that was a very, very wise special invitation. The year before that, 2019, went to Cedric McMillan. Rest in peace, the late Cedric McMillan, who had been busy serving his country, obligations with the Army, prevented him from really prepping and qualifying for the Olympia as he had wanted to. Promoters said, okay, that's cool, you know what, go ahead. And he ended up placing 7th that year. A couple of years before that, I think 2 or 3 years in a row, and I might be wrong on the amount of years, so don't kill me for that. Kai Green was extended special invitation, basically because he had been a runner-up 3 years in a row, and he's one of the greats in the sport, multiple Arnold Classic champ, winner. You know, he was a worthy guy to be invited to the show. And special invitation has a very long history. I remember going back to the 90s, Gunther Schlierkamp, for those of you old enough to remember who Gunther Schlierkamp was. Really good-looking, marketable guy. And this is when Joe Weider was alive. Joe Weider back then was the one who personally extended the special invitation. It was his show. It's Joe Weider's Mr. Olympia. And he gave it to Gunther. And I really think that was based more on marketability than anything else. Good-looking guy, sold a lot of Weider products, a lot of supplements, put him on the covers, Flex Muscle Fitness, sold a lot of magazines. At the end of the day, guys, special invitation, it's not so much for the athletes to give them a chance to compete because something was preventing them from qualifying. The Olympia is a business. It's a sport, but like any professional sport, it's a business. The aim is to sell tickets, to sell sponsorships, to sell booth spaces at the expo. That's the bottom line. So I know you guys have some opinions on this. I'm curious. I've read some of the statements on social media already and on YouTube. So I'm just curious as to where you guys have to say. Surely you have something to say, because I know a lot of people are saying he should have had to win an open show. Why didn't someone else get the invitation? Oh, there's nobody in the chat. Wow. Oh, can Derek be in top 3? Well, maybe so. We'll find out. I mean, that's the next debate. Some people are just upset, and other people are happy, but they want to know where's he going to place, and they're already speculating. It's a really loaded Olympia this year. The Mr. Olympia this year is, I think it's going to be the best Mr. Olympia we've had in 10 years at least. Dane Christensen, putting things in context helps. I think a lot of people have gotten upset about special invites because of other people's opinions. Yeah, I even saw something that was, spoiler man, you're on here a lot of times. Maybe you'll jump in on this. I've seen things saying it's because he's white that he's being invited to Mr. Olympia. I mean, other than Flex Lewis, none of these other guys could be considered white that have gotten a special invitation in recent history. Ramy's, Arabic descent, Muslim. Cedric, Kai, I mean, it's really not about race, guys. Dane also adds, it's great because it puts more pressure and hype on the other athletes. S. McGee says, I don't think Derek will get top 6 at Olympia. Has Derek ever done an open show? No, he has not. He has never done an open show. So Raymond Jones says, it will be interesting to see him not just next to these big guys. That's obviously going to be a major part of the appeal to this, because we've never seen Derek next to any of these open Olympia guys before. But I'm really curious to see how he looks at this higher body weight, because 212, to me, he always looked so good in the off season last couple of years, and then he would really, to me, look flattened out, like he lost a lot of fullness and pop to his physique coming down to 212. So now that he doesn't have to worry about a weight cap anymore, And the condition's not going to be an issue. Hani Rambod's his coach. He's going to bring him in shredded to the bone. But Derek at like 220, 230, maybe 235, really full and round with a little waist, that crazy wide shoulders and back. It's going to be a very different Derek Lunsford than we've ever seen. Twin 32-32. Those guys are all open bodybuilders and have proven track records in the open class. Derek is a 212 bodybuilder. Sean Clarita won open show. Shouldn't Derek have to do the same? Should any of these guys had invites? Why did Rami get an invite? I mean, he'd been a top Olympia competitor for years and years, but he didn't qualify for that first Olympia that he won. Cedric didn't qualify 2019. Kai wasn't qualified for any of those Olympias that he was invited to. It's a special invitation. It's given to people that didn't qualify. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. A lot of these open guys are scratching and doing a million shows. Yeah, I'm scratching. Trying to get the qualification. So I could see where they'd be pretty upset. This guy didn't have to do anything. He just gets an invitation, whereas I had to do, I'm thinking about some of these guys, like the European guys, like Andrea Presti, Andrea Musi, Theo Leguerre, I'm sure some American guys. They're doing like 6, 7, 8 shows trying to get the Olympia. I can understand why they would be butthurt about that for sure, when this guy just waltzes right in. Let's see. Javid Mahalir, I think it's good for the competition. Yeah, it's going to be a better show with Derek in it. Absolutely. Pritam, can Derek beat Krizo if Krizo be in Olympia? I don't know. I've never seen Krizo in real life. I've seen Derek many times. I've never seen Krizo except on video, in pictures. I do think his back needs to improve. His hamstrings and glutes need to be bigger for him to really be pushing for a win. But could he beat Derek? I don't know. I'd have to see them next to each other. SMG Ron, I think you by far put out the best content. Oh, thank you. I think you did a better job than Nick. No, I mean, let's give Nick's. I don't know which Nick we're talking about. If we're talking about, I think both Nicks do a fantastic job. Very different types of videos they make. We're talking about Nick Miller of Nick Strength and Power, Nick Trigilli of Bodybuilding BS. I think they both do a fantastic job reporting the news in their own unique style. But I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. Ruben von Vidderdy, hi Ron. Will point system change for Olympic qualification in the future? I don't think so. I think they like this point system because it encourages the athletes to do more and more shows. And we have so many pro shows now. I'd have to take a look. I think we've had this year has 30 open pro shows. It's crazy how many pro shows there have. So if you don't have a point system, in the old days, if they took top 5 at this show, top 3, they were qualified, and that's it. They were done till Olympia. This forces guys, especially if they're not winning the shows, keep going and going, doing more and more shows, which bolsters the lineups because every promoter wants big names in his show or her show. If you don't have big names in your show, people don't buy tickets. They don't come and watch it. Sponsors in the future won't be as willing to give you money for sponsorship. So the point system helps the promoters more so than anybody else, I think. But it's good for the fans too, because if you're a fan that can only get to a local show in your country or your part of the U.S., you're at least getting to see some names. Let's see. Dane Christensen. He won the USA in light heavy. Does that count an open show? No. That was an amateur show. It was a pro qualifier. No, it doesn't. It doesn't count as anything. Derek's been winning his respective weight classes since junior nationals. Yeah. Renaud, can Derek Lunsford make classic? If he's as tall as Branch Warren. So I think the cutoff weight for Derek would be 180 pounds if he wanted to do classic physique. And he's probably going to be about 225 or 230 at the Olympia. He's been 212, and it's been a struggle for him the past couple of years to make 212. So 32 pounds less than that for classic? No way. No. Raymond Jones, everyone who can't make their weight cap should request a special invite in the future. Yeah, definitely. I actually just did an interview with Chris Bumstead, believe it or not. That's going to be on this channel on Monday morning. I'm psyched. Chris is the most popular athlete competing right now, if you go in terms of social media numbers by far. And we talked about the weight cap thing, how a lot of the classic guys especially, they want the weight cap up. Even some of the 212 guys, they're like, why can't it be 220? Because it's 212. It was the 212 class started out as 202 when the first 2 or 3 years, and it moved to 212, and that's where it stayed. And I think that's fine. I mean, if you're going to have a 220 and then they're going to want it to be 230 or something, just keep it where it is. Keep it where it is. Stop trying to ask for more weight. Michael Sonny, besides making the Olympia competitive and interesting, I see no reason why he should get a special invite. That's just my 2 cents. I mean, especially the invite isn't, like I said, it's not based on like a merit system or, you know, who's most worthy based on, I don't know. It's really based, it's at the promoter's discretion. You know, Dan Solomon, IFBB Pro League, they can invite anyone. They could have invited anybody they wanted, literally. Any pro. It's their discretion, it's their show, and they have that in their back pocket all the time, that special invite. So I think he's more than worthy. He's a 212 Olympia champ. And based on the physique that we're seeing, I think he's going to make an excellent addition to the Mr. Olympia lineup. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people still going to disagree, and that's fine. Evan Laura, do you think the 212 will go away in the future in favor of weight classes within the open? No. No, open has to stay open, meaning an unlimited, meaning you could be 150 pounds theoretically. You could be 350 pounds theoretically. It's unlimited. It's open. 212, I like the way it is now. 212 and open. Open can't have weight classes, and it's not open anymore. You know, like years ago, the Olympia, for a few years, they did an under and over 200 pound. They did a short and tall for a few years. Then they tried over and under 200 pounds. And then after that, like, F this, let's just do one division. This is too complicated. Dane Christensen, I'm in context of an open show. There's a range for light heavy. Yeah, but it's not, it wasn't open. The USA was an amateur show. Samson, Ron Regan Grimes said he will not be doing 22 Olympia. Maybe that is why Derek was extended a special invite to fill the space, keep the excitement that Reagan would have brought. I think Derek competing in the open brings a lot more hype and excitement than Regan Grimes. No offense to Regan, who's a tremendous athlete. He has a huge following, great guy, huge fan base. But Derek has been the talk. Derek and him possibly being given an invite to do Open Olympia, that's all people have been talking about since May, since he did that guest posing in Pittsburgh. I tan, Johnny. That's not melatonin. I don't take any tanning. I take a lot of drugs, but not tanning drugs. That melatonin too, melanotan. Sorry. I mean, the one thing I've heard that's bad about it is if you have freckles, and I don't have too many, but if you have freckles, they get super dark and they stay that way forever. So you could be pasty white and you'll have all these freaking black ass freckles on your body. No, I tan. I probably shouldn't tan as much as I do. I know it's not good for my skin. It's getting leathery and whatever, but oh well. SMG, Ron, in my opinion, they have weight caps on Classic that seem to be advantaged people above 6 foot. Do you think they should increase the weight of competitors under 6 foot? I hear we've had this discussion before, and I do agree. Most of the taller guys in Classic, they seem to be under the weight cap or very comfortable with the weight cap, not struggling to make the weight cap, whereas the shorter guys, they tend to put on muscle easier, I think. They have shorter limbs, more compact frames. So yeah, they're the ones really clamoring and asking for, let's have 5 more pounds, 10 more pounds. But you can't just give it to shorter guys. You'd have to move the weight caps up for everybody. You can't just take a select group and say, okay, if you're 5'9" and under, all those weight caps, you're all going to get 5 pounds. Everyone over 5'10", you stay the same. Yeah, let's see. Dean Bowen, you've been at the inside the producer of the Olympia. I've never been a producer of the Olympia. What do you like most about the show now compared to then, and why should fans attend? Why should fans attend in today's live streaming environment? There's something very different about being there and seeing them. Especially, you have to have really good seats. Let me put that out there. You have to be right up. If you're way back, you might as well be watching at home, I think. But that's just me. If you're up front and seeing it live in person, you get a wholly different perspective. You're seeing it in 3 dimensions, whereas on a computer screen or your phone or whatever, wherever you watch these things, have it streaming to your TV. Yeah, that's a pay-per-view, right? It's 2-dimensional, so you don't ever really get to see. That's like with this whole controversy about we should have black backdrops. The LED screens behind are a huge issue when you're seeing it in 2 dimensions. But when you're there in person, it's not as bad. It doesn't take away from the physiques quite as much at all. But what I like most about the Olympia now versus the old days, I'd say the judging is a lot more fair. There was a lot of politics back in the day. There was people who ran the organization back then. Some of the judges, it was not good. There were some bullshit decisions. I think the judging is a lot more fair and impartial now. It's funny when I hear people complain about the judging now. I'm like, you should have been around like in the. I didn't go in the 80s, but even the 90s, I saw some. Even into the early 2000s, there were some terrible decisions I saw. Let's see. Our stuff. I haven't been paying attention to bodybuilding lately, but who is coaching Hadi Chupan? Oh, he's been with Hani Rambod for years now, for a few years, because he's from Iran, and Hani Rambod was originally born in Iran as a young child and speaks Farsi passively. He has a translator that works with them with Evagen that speaks it perfectly, that translates for Hadi. But yeah, Hadi Chupan has been with Hani Rambod now for, I want to say, about 3-4 years. He's doing a fantastic job, for sure. Renaud, was Venice Beach an exciting place to compete at? And should there be more outdoors pro shows? I don't know if there should be more outdoor shows because you can't really control the temperature, the lighting. You know, if it starts raining or something, you're screwed. But it was fun competing outdoors. The best part, he's talking about the Venice Beach shows, which I still believe they do every Memorial Day, July 4th, and Labor Day on Venice Beach. They're not sanctioned shows. They're not NPC. They're actually City of Los Angeles Parks and Recreation Department puts the shows on. They're a lot of fun because there's no pressure. It's not like you're not qualifying. You're not trying to qualify for the nationals or get a pro card or anything like that. It's just people that really want to compete and have fun in that same atmosphere that, you know, the greats of the golden era got to train at and compete in. I don't think they had too many outdoor shows back then, but yeah, Muscle Beach, very, very cool. A lot of good memories competing in those shows. I even judged it a few times. It's funny. My younger brother and his wife at the time, they were out in California for a couple of years too. I was out there for 10 years. He decided he was going to do that show one year, and I was a judge, and I placed him 6th or 7th out of 6 or 7, dead last, because that's where he belonged. So yeah, I was a good impartial judge. I placed my brother dead last where he belonged because yeah, he had no business being up there. Let's see. Professional Salon Solutions. Can't wait to see how they handle Sean Clarita. He is qualified in both classes. Derek is not qualified in open, so this will be interesting how they create or add new rules. Well, Sean, I think, has already gone on record. He wants to go back and get the Olympia title now, the Olympia 212 title now. Wants to get it back. And I'd love to see that dogfight between him and Kamalo Garni now, and, you know, Keon and the rest of the 212 guys. 212 class is still very exciting. Still a lot of phenomenal talent in that division. It's not going anywhere. Milano 10, good for libido. The wife wouldn't mind. My libido's just fine. She would actually be probably happy if my libido wasn't as strong as it is. A little off topic there. But yeah, I have no problem with that. Thanks for asking. At almost 53 years old. Mark, Nathan Asher taking trend year round is insane. He might as well play Russian roulette. I don't know if he might have been, I think he was trolling us. I don't think he takes it year round. And if he does, and if he gets, you know, all the proper blood work done and all that, and he's one of the lucky few who doesn't have a lot of adverse side effects, then what do you do? Like, say there's some weird outlier out there, because there's always an outlier. There's always like an exception rule. Say there's somebody who smokes 2 packs of cigarettes a day for 20 years and their lungs are perfectly clean. It's probably like, it might be impossible, but let's say there's that one human being that's the case. You gonna tell him to stop smoking? He's like, why? I'm fine. I'm perfectly healthy. It's not doing anything to me. Whereas, you know, most people get lung cancer and die. So if Nathan is taking tren year round and he's somehow okay, then what are you gonna do? But most people would not be okay. I even say the same thing with me. You know, I'm on more than TRT all the time, and knock on some wood there, I'm in really good health. Thank you, God. MD should do a contest. Guess Derek's open stage weight. Yeah, I think he's going to be right around 225, 230. Renaud, do you think Nick Walker's improvements to his package will surprise people with how good he is? Yeah, he's definitely going to be better than last year. Where's he going to place? Who the hell knows, man? This is a crazy, crazy Olympia. A lot of good guys doing it this year. Dane Christian said, I hope Hadi can get a visa this year. Some political tension with Iran. Isn't there always? Geez, I remember, I'm old enough. I remember like 1978. Was that the year? 79? I think it was 79. They took the hostages in Iran. That's what they made that movie Argo about. You know, what year was the revolution? I think it was 79 when the Ayatollah, they got rid of the Shah of Iran and they installed a new religious government with Ayatollah Khomeini in charge. And I don't think we've ever had good relations with Iran since then. I mean, they did take a bunch of our people hostage. So, yeah. Derek 230 on stage, says personalities. Yeah, I think that's realistic. Bharat Vashista. Where is Rolly nowadays? Is he done? I think either Trigilli, one of the Knicks just did a video about that. I think he's done. He had a hell of a run, man. He had a great run. He won a lot of pro shows, placed very high at a bunch of shows. He was third in the Olympia that year that Roden won, People's Champion. Rolly Winkler was great for years and years. So if he is done, he's moving on to other things. God bless him and good luck to him. He had a great run. He did very well. Nothing to prove anymore. Salon Sluice again. Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for answering. Reno, will the Olympia be in the Middle East now that they have the Soccer World Cup? No, the Olympia is not leaving the U.S. It's been here since the last year it left the U.S. was 1992. It's been 30 years when it was in Finland. It's not going to leave the U.S. It's just easier to have it here for all of us, for the promoters, everybody. I do think it's going to rotate between Vegas and Orlando. I don't think it's back in Vegas for good. That's just my feeling. I suspect maybe alternate years. I like it in Vegas. I like it in Orlando. It doesn't really matter to me. I like both places for different reasons. Please Fuad's videos. Please thumbs down Fuad's videos. Is that your name? Far on, look like a 30-year-old pro bodybuilder. Oh, 30. Wow. It's because I got the lights off. Oh, man. Tren is a hell of a drug. Yeah. Cocaine's a hell of a drug. Tren is a hell of a drug. It's probably the most potent steroid I've ever used. I've used it many times. Love it. I don't stay on it more than like 4 or 5 weeks at a time because I know it's really toxic. But, man, it works. I look and feel very different when I'm on Tren versus pretty much any other agent, anabolic agent. How is Big Ramy looking? Your waist is down. Johnny, yes, I don't see anybody beating Ramy. He's crazy looking with those shoulders. And I never thought that was synthol, not for a minute. I just thought it was a shot that was inflamed or something. And he looks different now in his pictures. The shoulders are already back to more of a normal shape. Yeah, I don't see anybody beating Ramy. He's looking insane with that crazy shoulder and back width and the little waist. And we already know his legs are insane. Michael Son, do you think Nick Walker will place higher than Hunter? And do you see him in top 3? It's possible. I don't want to, people think I don't like Hunter and I'm on Nick's jock. I think obviously Hunter beat him last year. Nick fans were still butthurt about that. But, they're both phenomenal bodybuilders. Nick is just so massive, so thick. I think he could possibly place top 3. Like I said, this is a stacked and loaded Mr. Olympia lineup. And we're still like 15 weeks away. Let's see. Nathan's a genetic marvel. True. His bicep looks completely normal after the tear and surgery. Yeah, obviously Nathan has spectacular genetics. Irving Medina, Olympia back to Orlando next year. I don't think they'll make any announcement till after this year's Olympia, but I'd say probably within a week or 2 after this Olympia, if not sooner, they'll let us know where it's going to be the following year. Because I'm sure they've already made up their minds, but they're not going to tell us yet. Our stuff. I thought Hadi was upset about Rambod saying something about SEO in his shoulders. Is that just hype? To my knowledge, it's probably, people just talk shit and they put words in other people's mouths. And yeah, it's a bunch of gossiping. We're horrible. Us bodybuilders. Barat Varshista. Well, it's Barat. I know that. Who's your favorite, Ronnie or Dorian? Physique-wise, I'd go with Ronnie. Just because he was such a freak. Dorian, I love Dorian's mindset, his work ethic, just that 100% laser focus he had, how intelligent he was about the way he arranged his training and the way he trained. A lot of thought went into everything he did. He was a thinking man's bodybuilder, kind of like the late Mike Mentzer, the late John Meadows. These were guys who were extremely intelligent and applied that toward it. I'm not saying Ronnie wasn't intelligent. He graduated summa cum laude with an accounting degree, but if you listen to Dorian talk about training, you could, even to this day, you can really appreciate just how passionate he was about always trying to learn more and pass that information now, especially now after he retired, to pass that on to the next generations. He's training Coelho? Which Coelho? Oh, Lucas Coelho? Yeah, he's in Brazil. He was just in Brazil. Let's see, but Rolly is training Coelho, so that's Lucas Coelho in Brazil. If you guys haven't checked out the new show, we just posted episode 2, Miguel Chain's show. Brazilian Beat covers the whole Brazilian scene, bodybuilding, classic, 212, figure, bikini, wellness, all that. He's the man. So check that out. Brazilian Beat, episode 2. It's up on this channel, or posted earlier today. Bring the Olympia to Detroit. I remember when the Ms. Olympia was in Detroit years ago. I went to it. It was outside of Detroit, but it was in Michigan. I think so. Yeah, I was there. It was like 90, I don't know what year it was, 92, 93, something. When the Miss Olympia used to be held separately, its own show. You know, the Mr. Olympia would be somewhere in the world and the Ms. Olympia would be somewhere else. They weren't held together until more fairly recently. Rolly Tranquillo, bringing up in Detroit. Big Ron, you on Adage again? Dean Bowen, what's Adage? I don't know what Adage means. Retype that, please. Oh, on stage. Am I on stage again? No. No, I'm good. I'm good with the stage. Renault, does the Boston Mass train football players? Yeah, he does. Get a hold of him. The Boston Mass. He was a football player himself. He knows how to train athletes for sure. Jose. He's at the Boston Mass on Instagram with 2 E's. Hit him up. Hit him up. He's an excellent trainer. But who's my favorite bodybuilder of all time? I mean, physique wise, I probably go Flex Wheeler. For total package, Arnold. Just the inspiration. You know, it's a nostalgia thing. I remember being a little kid and watching Pumping Iron on TV late at night, and I was just freaked out. Like, wow, this guy is just, I didn't know a human being could look like that. And he had a great personality, he had charisma, became an actor, a superstar actor, governor of California. I mean, he's been the most successful bodybuilder after bodybuilding that we've ever had, clearly, by a long shot. Irek, when it comes to Tren, what do you think about Nathan cycling year round? If he's healthy, if he really is cycling Tren, which I don't know if he might have been trolling us. If he really is, and if he's healthy, if he gets his blood work done, everything's fine. Good for him. I mean, I don't think too many people could get away with that. I think most people would run into very serious kidney, liver, heart, you know, all kinds of problems from Tren, because it is very powerful, very effective steroid, but it's toxic it's toxic. You shouldn't be, I don't run it personally for more than 4 or 5 weeks max. That's when I start to be like, oh, I better cut the shit out. Barat Renaud. First guru for gear Renaud. I never had a gear guru. I think I would have done a little bit better as a bodybuilder if I had had someone to guide me with the gear. I had too much pride and I thought I knew it all and I didn't know much at all. So I never had a guru. I made stupid mistakes. Didn't use the right compounds for contest prep or whatever. It's fine. It's all over now. I competed for 24 years. In the last, from 2002 to 2013. So it's at, how many years is that? 11 years of it were on gear. The other years I competed were natural. What I miss? I'm mad, bro. Truth one. Will Brett Wilkins be in the Olympia? Does he place ahead? I don't know where anyone's going to place, so stop asking me that. But he is going to the Romania Muscle Fest, trying to win that and get his qualification. So we'll see if he gets it. Personal das too. Tren is the only drug that affects my mental state. I don't think so when I'm on it, but after I'm on it, I look back, I see a big difference in more than tests. Tren forces you to be alpha. It definitely makes you more assertive. Hostile, I think, is aggressive. That you have more of that feeling. You feel, more alpha when you're on Tren. Tren, you definitely you feel different on Tren. It does affect mood more than anything else. But it also makes you more, for me, I was like more prone to road rage, stupid shit. Just I would flip out over dumb things, insignificant things. So in that sense, that's one thing I don't like about Tren is how it affects my mood and my temper. Because I'm normally a pretty laid back guy, as I think you guys have figured out by now. It takes a lot to get me riled up, but not when I'm on Tren. You could be like, anyway. How would Bob Paris done in classic physique if he competed today? I think he would have done phenomenal. He had his condition, to me, Bob Paris was never that great. But I'm sure that was, if he had a guru, if he had a coach to bring him in diced and at the weight limit, which I don't think he was too much over anyway. I think Bob Paris he'd be right up there at the Olympia top 5, if not pushing Bumstead. He was great, Bob Paris. Samson Dowda, don't sleep on this man. No, I'm not sleeping on. That's what I said. This Olympia, there's guys we're forgetting about. I mean, Andrew Jack, Samson, Blessing, Ian. I'm leaving out a lot of guys. There's so many who are so good. Reynold, Dave Christian, C-Bum 10 mil on IG. Yeah, Rami 4 mil, Hottie 3 mil. Yeah, C-Bum, Chris Bumstead has the highest social media following out of all the competitors in the IFBB Pro League by a landslide. Dane, could C-Bum pull a Frank Zane and win the Open being lighter than the other competitors? No, He doesn't have the size to push these guys. No way. No. He looks fantastic on his own next to these classic guys, and I love Bumstead's physique. I love it. I think it's damn near perfect. But you put him next to a Rami, a Nick Walker, he's going to look so small. And he has no interest. I just talked to him. He has zero interest, zero, in doing open. He has doesn't want to. I don't know why everyone wants him to. Did you meet Arnold? I've been around Arnold several times, like this close to him. I interviewed him over the phone, but obviously that wasn't face-to-face, but I've been around him a few times. And one time I even was being that a-hole. It was like, hey, Arnold, Arnold, Arnold. It was at the breakfast buffet at the Arnold Classic at the Hilton in downtown Columbus. And he must get that all the time. He totally ignored it. Didn't turn around because he knew it was some jackass who just wanted a picture at a time. And it was me, yeah. So, no, never met him. Sonny, Michael saying, who do you have winning the upcoming Arnold Classic? Andrew Jack, Mark Hector, Martin, or James? I don't know. I mean, I wasn't even thinking about this Mark Hector guy, but now I've been seeing some pictures of Mark Hector, and he's looking crazy good, this Mark Hector. I'm actually going to do a preview show Monday that'll air sometime later in the week. Giles Thomas and I, we're going to do an Arnold Classic preview, and we'll really break it down. So hold on for that. O personal das... Oh, yeah, appreciate acknowledging my comment. That's what we're here for, guys. That's why we're live. This is your show, guys. This is just my chance to interact with you. Reynold, how famous was Flex Wheeler in California in the mid to late 90s? I mean, famous in bodybuilding, he was superstar. I mean, outside of bodybuilding, I don't think a whole lot of people knew who he was. You know, bodybuilding's still a niche sport. Most people have no idea who the top bodybuilders in the world are if they walk by him in the street. Personalas, yeah, Personalas too. Dorian Yates will always be king. He's damn good. He also says Brett didn't come close to Ian Valier. I mean, Ian's proven himself more. Ian's been top 6 at the Olympia, right? Was he 7th? He's won a bunch of shows now. Ian's proven himself, whereas Brett still has to prove himself to be at that level, I think. Dean Bow and Trent equals 5 times test androgenic component. Yeah, it's way more androgenic than test. Renaud, did you ever compete in the same show as Rich Piana? No. I think, did I even see him one time? He was competing in the Cal, I think, when I was still living out there in the 90s. And he looked nothing like he eventually looked. Nothing at all. His arms were big. They were like half the size that they were once he put all that crap in them and tattooed them up. He was a big dude, but he was nothing like special. He wasn't like blowing the bodybuilding world away, but he became a superstar on, did it on social media. Didn't rely on competitions anymore. But how old Monac place? We don't know. I don't know how anyone's going to place. Dean Bowen, Bob Paris, 1984 New York City Olympia, his best look. Yeah, I'd have to look at that. Maybe that's his best condition because I saw him compete a couple times toward the very end of his career, and the condition just wasn't there. He still needed to be another 10, 20% sharper, and he doesn't give a shit. He won't even do interviews. He hates bodybuilding. He wants nothing to do with it. Won't do any interviews with anybody. He wrote that book, what was it, Gorilla Suit? I didn't read it, but I really always meant to read it. Personalidad, Stan Seabum wouldn't have a snowflake's chance in Hell Open. Yeah, I agree. He needs a lot more size. Personal HG, when Derek got the invite this year's always going to be insane. Totally. Ian's calves didn't pass customs. Well, that's cruel. Calves are just so genetic. Like, I train my calves hard, but they're as big as they are partly because I had the genetics for them to grow. They're 18 and a half, 18 3/4 pumped. They're getting close to 19. I'm not the biggest guy, but Ian's body, his overall body is like 1,000 times bigger than mine, but my calves are bigger than his. But it's genetics, guys. I've been to so many men's physique shows where there's like sticks coming out of these guys' board shorts. Sticks. That's how bad their calves are. Thoughts on getting rid of 212 and going back to short and tall Mr. Olympia than overall? No, I like the 212 class because it gives those guys their own category, their own division to shine and be recognized on their own without having to go up against 6 foot, 280 pound guys. Let's see. Renaud, would your best ever packager be Dave Palumbo as you faced off the finals? No way. Dave wasn't a great bodybuilder. But he was a much better bodybuilder than I was by far. I would never say I was like at his level as a bodybuilder. He had pretty crappy structure, but he had so much muscle mass, and he used to come in gnarly, shredded condition. If he was competing now in Masters, he would be a pro. he's way better than most of the guys turning Masters Pro, even though he did have that blocky structure and, you know, the huge gut and everything. But he was a freak. No, I was never that big. I didn't have the best shape either. I had somewhat of a V taper, but if my genetics were that great, I would have been a pro, or I would have been top national level guy. I was national level top 5 3 times, but that was all toward the end. And that was as once in the Open at the Universe, twice in the Masters. But no, Dave was a much better bodybuilder than I was, no question. He's getting his foot fused today. Bharat, Ron, thank you so much, brother. Oh, you're welcome. Lots of love from India. Oh, I know it's late as hell over there. Go to sleep, Bharat. It's late. Renaud, Rich had big legs when he competed and was tall. Yeah, I never really knew Rich, but I was around him a few times. He was every bit of like 6'1", maybe 6. He was a tall guy. He wasn't short. Professional. What's your thoughts on men's physique? Eventually they have to have weight caps, correct? No. Some of these guys need to do a classic, don't you think? They're not going to start weight caps for men's physique. It's too late. The division's already been around for almost 10 years now. Or is it 10 years now? I think it was 2012, yeah. So the only thing they can do is when these guys show up too big is score them down. You're too big. Sorry, dude. You're not supposed to be that big. And I've seen it. I've seen guys in men's physique, pro men's physique, who are juiced out of their skulls, like big boulder shoulders, veins everywhere. I mean, they look like they're like open bodybuilders, and then they just have board shorts on. So those guys don't get the wins. They don't usually place well. They don't usually even get first call out. I've seen some of them like the third call out, even though they're shredded, because I don't think the judges want to send a message that this is what we want. It was supposed to be the best beach body, not the best friggin' big juiced up freak body. If you want to do that, be a bodybuilder. There's 212, there's classic, there's open bodybuilding. There's a lot of other options if you want to put more muscle on. Why does Bob Paris hate bodybuilding? I think he was really ostracized. Like I said, that was a different time, the 80s and 90s. You know, he came out as being gay, and I think they did penalize him for it. I think they did sort of ostracize him and made it harder for him as a competitor in all aspects. So, yeah, and I don't think that was the only reason. I think he just, I never read the book. I would have to read the book. I'm sure that I would gain a lot more insight into Bob's frame of mind if I read his book, Gorilla Suit, but I think he just looked back and said, what was I doing with my life? Just chasing all these big muscles and taking all these drugs. And, you know, he's moved on. He's so far beyond it now. Renaud, thoughts on Bob Chickerlo? Does he work against the competitor's best interest somehow? No. I mean, nobody else wants to be the athlete's rep. He's doing a job that nobody even wanted to do. It doesn't pay. He gets no perks at all for it. He really just gets shit on by people that say, you're not doing enough. You know, nobody ever gives him credit for anything. He instituted certain classes. I think he came up with 212 division. Did he say that was his? He came up with bikini. I don't know. He came up with a couple of divisions we have now, and he's gone to bat. We did an interview. If you know, really check the Ron Line report from like a month ago. We did an interview, and we really went into it. If you want to really want to talk about the things that Bob has done. I don't know anything about Mark Plummer. Renaud, I'm sorry. I'm familiar. I remember the name's familiar, and I know he looks really good. That's all I can tell you right now. Personalidades too. Physique needs weight caps. These guys look dumb. I agree though. A lot of them are getting too big, but you can't put weight caps because then what are you gonna? It's gonna be like classic. Well, you're 5'9", you can only weigh like 178 or what? No, just score down the guys who are too big and bulky and trying and have that bodybuilder look, because you're not supposed to have that. Why didn't Eddie Moisan turn pro? Why didn't Edgar Fletcher turn pro? Why didn't Rory Liedelmeyer, Matt Mendenhall? Man, there were some really good guys back in the day because it was really hard to turn pro back then. It was hard. It wasn't easy. The USA championships back then, now they give every weight class winner at the USA, just an example in bodybuilding, top 2 in every weight class gets a pro card. Back in those days, overall champion, the men's overall champ, 1 pro card the whole show. That's it. Nationals, weight class winners. Now it's top 2. They didn't have amateur Olympias. They didn't have amateur Arnolds. There were a lot fewer opportunities to turn pro back then. So guys who were really good, like Eddie Moisan, I knew him from Pennsylvania. He was damn good. No, he didn't get his pro card. It was harder back then. There were guys back then that weren't able to get pro cards who just destroy. They make a lot of these guys who are getting pro cards now, especially the masters. No offense, old guys, I'm old. they make these guys look like they don't even lift. Some of them, or they have no business calling themselves pros compared to some of these guys. Google Matt Mendenhall, Google Edgar Fletcher, Rory Liedlmeyer. These are guys who looked incredible, never turned pro. Twig legs and a 265 upper body equals physique. Oh, Personalda, so you're very welcome. Mark, who was the most impressive bodybuilder you ever saw on stage? I guess I would have to go with Ronnie. It was 2003. The year he came out at 296. And it wasn't the prettiest physique. His gut was starting to really get there, get distended, but it was an ungodly amount of muscle. And these traps, these delts, the back, the lats were just hanging. They were so thick. Legs out to here, arms. I mean, Ronnie was just, it was... When he came out, people laughed because it was like, are you guys seeing this? Is everyone seeing this? This is nuts. So yeah, I'd say, Dorian at his best was crazy too. Phil Heath, Jay. I mean, I've seen so many great bodybuilders, but Ronnie that year really stands out to me. Gorilla Sue's a great read, highly recommend it. It says Kiwi Muscle. Yeah, I've always meant to read it. Renaud, could Lee Priest hold his own if he did Olympia like Leveroni did his comeback? I mean, Lee never did the 212 Olympia. He was gone by the time the 212 class was instituted, but I think he would have done very, very well. Now he's got too many tattoos. He's pushing 50. I don't know. He just did a show a couple years ago. He still looked pretty good. I mean, he would do very well in 212. I think he'd still do well in the Open. He was like top 6 in the Open Mr. Olympia a couple times. I think he was like top 3 at the Arnold a couple times, and he won some pro shows. Dane Christian, I didn't see it live, but Kevin Leveroni at the 1997 Finland Grand Prix was amazing. Yeah, Kevin at his best he was awesome. Eric Fromm was damn good too, a no pro card. Yeah, Edgar Fletcher was insane. Yeah, there were so many guys from back in the day, the 90s especially, 80s and 90s, but 90s was when I was really going to a lot of the pro shows. I started going to pro shows in 91, and I saw a lot of guys, and I used to go to like the USA and the Nationals, and there were some amazing guys who never got their pro cards. Dean Bowen, but rank forever, came up from being a teen bodybuilder to being a strong, positive journalist. Yeah, yeah, Dean, I've been at this. I've been training almost 40 years. I competed from 1989 at age 19. I turned 20 later in the year. I've been at this a long time. Top 15 predictions for Mr. Olympia. Oh, let's get to that as we get closer to the show. I'll do a prediction show for MD. Anyway, guys, I see it's almost 6 o'clock here. It's getting close to my next meal time. I'm such a meathead. I got to eat all the time. Did Paul DeMeo have some of the best legs? His legs were nuts. Calves, quads. Of course, we know quads. He was Quadzilla Hams. Paul DeMeo had a great overall physique. Nobody talks about his arms, but Paul DeMeo had some sick arms. He had these tris, huge, round, full triceps, Paul. He could have been so good. You bought Cybergenics. My wife, at the time, my girlfriend, the first year we were dating, she bought me, I think, the 60-day kit. And, looking back, the Cybergenics products were shit. They were absolute shit. They did nothing for you. But the placebo effect, I was like, oh boy, I was a natural bodybuilder, natural 20, was I 21 at the time? 20? I thought I was on steroids. I was like, oh boy, Cybergenics. And it came with a really good workout. And I followed the workout and made gains based on the workout, not because they're crappy supplements. Legs start to fade after 40. Have you managed to hold or even improve your legs? I haven't improved my legs after 40. I'd say my legs were in their peak size from about age 30 to 40. And they're starting to come down now because my lower back, my knees, I have issues where I can't squat heavy anymore. I can't even squat 225 some days without my back feeling like it's going to pop or my knee feeling like it's going to rip. So I do a lot of leg presses, other leg machines. I've been able to maintain most of the size, but I'm happy to see my son, who's 22. He'll be 23 in a couple weeks. Happy to see him getting stronger in squats and his legs getting bigger, because you're not going to get bigger forever, and you can't stay big forever. We're humans. We're not robots. These bodies of ours, they do age and they do decline. You can do your best to fight Father Time, and I think I'm doing a great job, and I know other people are doing a great job, but in the end, Father Time is undefeated. You ain't beating Father Time. All right, guys, I'm gonna call it a wrap. So appreciate you guys participating. Thanks for your questions. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do that. Hit the notification bell, like, share, comment, do all that good crap. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.